Hey guys, and welcome back to Regretted. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, it seems the government are thinking of putting us into special measures, calling this a national heat wave emergency. And obviously, they're not set up for none of that. Right, because this literally is all of our services are at real risk now. Whether it's hospital services, whether it's care for the elderly, all of these things are at great risk now, obviously because of the heat that this country is going through at the moment. Right, we've got train tracks that are buckling under the heat itself. Right, but all of these things should really, this is not something that the government should have to be rushing into now. All of these things should be something that's been taken care of, because remember where we are. Right? We are in a country where they've been talking about like climate change for the longest of time, right? And it seems that climate change is hitting us, and obviously we're not ready for climate change in the same way we wasn't ready for Brexit. We're not ready for climate change, so we've got to be looking at all of our hospital services. Obviously, if we go into, if this country has to go into, some type of special measures because of this heat, right? Then you're looking at all the schools closing down, right? There's going to be a lot of businesses that have to close down, because I think once it goes over a certain heat, I don't think a lot of businesses will not be allowed to operate. So, but from what I've seen so far, the temperature this weekend is not going to be up to 40. They're looking at maybe maybe 31, 32, which obviously which is a good thing, because obviously this country can't really take the amount of pressure that it's going to be put under by by this heat. And then you've got like one of the hopefuls, right, in the running for the Tories. In fact, yesterday they had there was a big conference on climate change yesterday, a massive conference, right, done by I think about 70 professors, and about 70 professors, right, and none of the leadership contenders went to that conference yesterday, right? And I mean, it's 70 professors that done it, and there was less than 70 MPs there. So you say, well, how serious are you people actually taking this climate change? Right? Because obviously, I think we can all see now, right, that this climate change is a real thing. Right? Obviously, apart from unless you're like Kemi Badnock, or whatever the hell she wants to call herself, right? Because she is a far right black Tory, and she has already come out and said, what did she say? She said that let me see. She said on climate change, right? It's like a unilateral, right, economic, right, disarmament. If we was to do anything on climate change, you think to yourself, so, and you actually are bowing to be the leader of this country, and you're not taking climate change. So she sounds like she's a climate change denier, right? While sitting there in the baking heat, right? Britain's experiencing temperatures. It's no, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, that we passed like 30, right? So Britain's experiencing higher temperatures than 30, right? And this woman, right, is still on this climate, because she's from. I think I have a good feeling that she might be part of the ERG, or pushing to get into the ERG in the Tory party, right? So she's from the hard right of the Tory party, and you think, well, this is just what we need, isn't it? As black people, that's who we need representing us, right? Because this woman's the same complexion as me, right? And I'm like, well, I don't understand how the hell it is, right, that me and you living in the same country, right, and that's your attitude is to be hard right, and to even come out with statements against climate change, right, when you're bound to be the leader of this country. And there's a lot of people in this country who are taking climate change really serious. I mean, all you have to do is look at the shit what's going on outside, and look at our train tracks that are buckling under it, right? And look at all the wildfires that are catching up all over the place, right? But right? Because we have a government, right? Or we've had governments, right? Especially over the last 12 years, right? When these people should have been getting on with real government, right? But no, they're concerning themselves with statues. They say, look at all those black and brown people trying to rip down our statues, trying to take away our heritage, right? Trying to take away our history. The history you're motherfucking ashamed of, right? It's not our fault that you're ashamed of your history, right? That's not our fault, right? Because we also have a history. Oh, those histories are intertwined, aren't they? And I think that you guys went and done some bad stuff. Right? And now, right, it's a time where you want to blame us for your bad stuff, what you've done, and not make us walk past all your disgusting statues, yeah, of all the ex-slave masters, right, when the motherfuckers should be torn down. Right? Even fat neck Winston Churchill, right? This is a man, right, who had more deaths on his hands than Adolf Hitler, but they don't want you to know about that history. But that is the true history. And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. I don't know if you've seen, like, this, the January 6th committee hearings in America. It's just, guys, it just goes from worst to worst to worst, right, for Donald Trump. This is just like, the absolute carnage what this man tried to bring down, right, on the United States. It's just, because yesterday they had some of the guys from the Oath Keepers, right? And now these guys are some far right white supremacists, hard line, right? And all of these people, right? Donald Trump managed to literally get them all working together, right? Proud Boys, Oath Keepers. And those other fools that wear the Hawaiian shirts, I think the Boogaloo Boys, or whatever the hell they want to call them. But all these people, yeah, they're some hardcore white supremacists. And if you see, right, all of the coordination that was going on, right, and Donald Trump, changing his speech at the last minute to tell them, yes, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and all these things, right? And his solicitor, right, explaining to him, listen, what you're doing, right, you're basically doing, it's an insurrection. You're trying to cause a civil war. You need to stop. Right, his personal solicitors was telling him all these type of things, right? And he had other solicitors who was telling him different type of stuff, and Raskin, right, I believe the congressman, he wrote, he read out a statement in the end which sort of summed up Donald Trump, where he said that the founding fathers, right, predicted someone like Donald Trump coming along, right? He said obviously they didn't name him because obviously they couldn't, because it was 17th century or whatever it was, right? But so that's when they so he said that, they was warned about someone like Donald Trump who would come and he would bring in a militia army to attempt to throw over the lawful government in that country. And that's what Donald Trump has done. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, just to share, this man, right, is prepared to tear down, right, all of the institutions in America, but I can remember, right, just before, it must be this must have been just before Donald Trump coming, like, so probably 20, I think it was 2016 he coming in it, right? So I was speaking to a guy who was in support of Donald Trump. So I was trying to explain to him, right, that when you become president, right, every little thing in your past, right, is going to be dug into. Right, because remember from long before they was looking at Donald Trump's taxes, from long before they was looking at Donald Trump's taxes, right? but he could get away with it because he hadn't applied. He wasn't running to be president, so he could get away with it on that basis, right? But once you become president, right, every inch of your life, right, is looked into, right? And there's no getting away from that. Why do you think there's not a lot more candidates over here, right? Trying to be the for running for the Tory leadership, right? Don't just think, right, because like we're down to our last 8 now, but don't just think, right, because it's these people, right, the rest of them, right, some of them would have scandals. That's why they can't run, because to be the obviously, unless you're Boris Johnson, yeah, and then you can, if as long as you're Boris Johnson and you can, feed the racism, then you can get away with that shit, right? But there's no other candidate like Boris Johnson, so all the skeletons in their cupboard, right, will be smashing into them. So so that's why there's not a lot more of them. Because believe me, right, every single Tory politician believes that they can be the prime minister. I mean, why would you be a politician if you didn't think that you could run the whole country? I mean, why would you be a politician in the first place? So every last one of them believe that they can be the leader of the party. And it's kind of ridiculous to think they can't, right? But that's because there's a lot of them obviously who think that they're too old to run, right? So we take all those out, but anybody, right, in there that's probably under 60 years old, right, believes, right, that they can run this country, all of them. So you have to say, well, why haven't they all gone? Because they've got too much skeletons in their closet, just like Donald Trump did have, right? For him to go for presidency, he should have never went for the presidency in the first place, right? He should have just stayed on the sidelines and just kept on sniping, right? But he decided to go for this presidency, right? And now one of his only hopes, yeah, is to get back into power. That's one of his, and I mean, if he declares, I don't know if whether the DOJ would would be able to come after him if he declares now and comes out and says, well, you know what, I'm running for president again, 2024, right? Which people who are staunch Donald Trump hardline are saying that Donald Trump, right, was a complete mistake, right, and there should no way he should ever be near power ever again. And these are all Republicans, right? You can forget what the Democrats are saying. Let's just look at that and say that that's white noise, right? Whatever the Democrats are saying, right? But right, what the Republicans are saying, right? And these are all public Republicans that voted for Donald Trump. Like the one guy there, who he got charged with. I think he got charged with entering the Capitol because after they got the message from Donald Trump, he said, we got the message and then we left because he told us to. Whatever he had told them to do on that day, they would have done. Right? But this guy, obviously, his life has been taught. He's not part of like the Oath Keepers or part of like the 3%ers or the Boogaloo Boys or the Proud Boys. He's not part of any of them. He was just an individual that just went along with it, and his whole life has been completely ruined, right? And he said, once I stepped away from social media, right, then I started to get a brighter outlook on how things look. I could look in on myself and look and see what other people were seeing, right? And he said, what he was doing was just complete and utter madness. It was just like crazy. He was basically under a spell, and he went there and he admitted that to them. And then let's move over to Florida, right? Ron DeSantis, right? Another one who was a crazy Trump supporter. I don't think they're friends anymore, but he's another one who's a crazy Trump supporter and looking like that he could make a run for president of the United States, right? Another one who's 100% wrong, right? Because he's a disgusting racist. I mean, he's got himself involved in the education and all that over there because he's the governor. I think he's the governor over there. So he's got himself involved in all the education and all that over there. And now Florida's 9,000 teachers short. So that's a lot of teachers, because you see, every minute, right, you've got whether they're having demonstrations outside schools over COVID, over masks, right, over critical race theory, right, which is not really a thing. Critical race theory is not a thing, right? It's just basically history, right? And if you don't like your own history, That's not our problem. It's not our fault that your history has been trashed by your forefathers, right? But so now they've got 9,000 less teachers in Florida. That's what they need. They need 9,000 teachers. But a lot of educators are not going to go to Florida and work. They don't want to go there and work because the parents have made the schools the parents have turned the schools political, right? One minute you've got a load of Proud Boys up in the school and the 3%ers and all this type of nonsense up in the schools, right? And all of these people are heavily armed people, right? Always want to run with the culture wars, right? They're very, very good to go with all of that, right? And this is the reason why they are really suffering. And plus, they've got Ron DeSantis, who's an absolute arse, right? The man's an absolute fool. I don't know how anybody votes for him. But then these are Republicans, right? And Republicans, they are, let's have a good word for them. They're off key, right? These people, right, are unhinged. They're like a door that's come off of its hinges, but you're still trying to close the fucking shit, right? These people, right, have got a serious screw loose, right? For them to be voting for someone like Ron DeSantis, right? Look what this man has done to Florida, right? And I'm sure he's starting on Disney as well, telling Disney, "Oh, you're too woke. We're going to take the woke out of Disney." And Disney should just say to him, "You know what? I was trying to think of a good Disney character there, send that there to go and mess him up, right? Because he's just taking the absolute piss, right? When you're living, right, with a governor like Ron DeSantis, yeah, your life must be true, especially if you're not a supporter of his, because I don't, even the supporters of his must really think to themselves, this man, there's something wrong with this guy, right? But that's why they've got 9,000 teachers less than they should have, right, in Florida. And I don't know how much schools in Florida, obviously Florida's big, but wherever you're 9,000 short, especially like in one state, right? You all know if they've probably got parents coming in and teaching some of the classes, and all down to their stupid ass culture wars. Them children are not going to be educated properly. And then let's move on to some Asian grooming gangs, because it's all in the news again now, right? Where it's the angle what these people are coming at, right? That's what gets me, right? Is because they are trying to deliberately wind up, right, the British public. They're deliberately trying this, right, by saying, "Oh, the police and the social services didn't go for these men because they was Asian." Right. So okay. So that's in Oxford, in Oldham, in Rotherham, right, and all these other areas, right, where this happened. They're telling us, right, that all those police officers, right, did not arrest these men because they was Asian. So, oh no, it's not going to be a good look for us. It's not going to be a good look. I would just like, someone to have told some of the police officers, that have beaten the hell out of me, right, this is not a good thing to do because it won't look good racially. Right? And go to those areas and say, oh, right, so the Asian drug dealers that are in that area, right, do you just leave them to get on with selling their drugs? No, we lock them up. Oh, right, okay, so you do lock up Asians then? Yeah, with their criminals, yeah. So why is it, right, that you didn't lock them up with the grooming gangs thing? I'll tell you why. Because they put it down to the girls. They just put it down to the girls. Oh, these girls are little slags. That's what they put it down to. Right? Now, they have a problem there because, there was the documentary that I saw on BBC about this, right? This was, but obviously Tommy Robinson was the person to highlight this to us. But there was a documentary I saw on the BBC about this, right? Now, one of these girls, right, walked out of her house, right? She must have been 14 or 15, right? Her parents was there trying to stop her, right? And she is getting into a car with an Asian guy in his 30s, and she's walking out and telling her parents to fuck off. And that, right, is what the police was dealing with. That's what the police was dealing with. at the time. But now, obviously, these girls are older now, and they realise, right, what they've actually done. They realise, oh, you know what, I was too young to make those decisions. And yeah, they was too young to make those decisions. And, you know, probably if they had much better parenting, right, they wouldn't have been out there, right, if I had a daughter, there's no way that a man in his 30s, right, if she's 15 years old, and a man in his 30s could come and pick her up at my house. That would be impossible. I mean, that would be impossible. That I will tell you from now, that could never happen to me, ever, under any circumstances. That couldn't happen. A 30-year-old man couldn't knock my door to not, unless it's a school teacher going to take her to, picking up the kids to take them to netball or something like that, or to go and play football or something like that. Right? But you'd think a 30-year-old strange man could come to my door and pick up my 14 or 15-year-old child. I say, you better be working for motherfucking Uber, and I better called you. It must be me that have called you to come and drop her somewhere in an Uber, right? And that's the only reason why a man in his 30s, right, is coming to pick my daughter up, right? Yeah, but and these girls, obviously, a lot of them was in care, so they'll jump out of the windows and go, right, and go and see these men. Right, so the police and the social services knew all what was going on, right, and it's nothing at all to do with the fact that these guys was Asian. Why they didn't go for them? That's got nothing to do with it, right? And why they would wind up the British public in that way? Because if that's the case, yeah, then you're talking about. These are all different police services. This is not just one police service, right? Now, when the first one came out and said, "Oh yeah, it's because these men was Asian. That's the reason why we wouldn't go, because we don't want to be accused of being racist." So now you're saying now all of these other councils and these police services have looked at that report and thought, "Oh, that's our way out. So we're going to use that." So all of them have used that same excuse. Oh, it's because there was Asian, so that's why we didn't. Well, I'll tell you, all black and brown people in this country are right now going, really? Right? The only person you can convince of that, right, of a person of colour, black or brown, right, only person you can convince of that, right, is someone who's in the Tories. Right? I'm sure that Kwasi Kwarteng will, oh, that's absolutely correct. Yes, this is the reason. It's because they were, I can see that. It's because they was brown, and that's the reason why the police wouldn't go for them. Now, you can only get someone like Kwasi Kwarteng, right, or not so James Cleverly, right? Only people like him, and probably gave me Badenoch, right? But seriously, do you know what I mean? The way how they put that story across, it's just been put out there just to cause more and more racial tension, right? And they always can get that because people are going to be throwing that in the faces all over the place now. And it goes down pretty well for the Tories as well. The UK homes, right, have the least amount of money going into them in the EU, in the whole of Europe at the moment. These houses over here, we have the least amount of money going into our houses. Everybody else is doing better than us, right? And I hear you say, yes, but we're all going through a financial crisis. Yes, we are all going through a financial crisis. And you may well say, that's not down to Brexit, and it may well not be down to Brexit. This could well be true, because the whole world is going through a financial crisis. The whole world, right, is going through a cost of living crisis, right? But only the fact is, it's happening double for us. Everything is double for us, double, all the way, right? And that is down to Brexit. If it was, if we didn't have Brexit, then we would just be, it wouldn't be as bad as it is for us, right? But Brexit has doubled everything for us. In fact, it's probably tripled everything for us because everybody, look at the gas prices, the fuel prices coming down in America. It's not coming down here; it's going down in America though. Right? So we are more than double what they're paying, And there's still foolish people out there who will say to you, "Oh, not like Brexit." Even they'll even look at the airports and they'll say, "Oh, not like Brexit." Really? So why is there no staff to staff these airports? Right? Why is it right? How does that work? Why is Dover right full of lorries? Operation whatever the hell they want to call it has been put back in now, right, to divert the lorries onto another part of the motorway so they can just stack up. That's what we used to call that, Operation Stack, once before. We call it something different now. Why is all that happening? Right? Because so much people say, "Oh, it's not right." But I think more people have come to terms with the truth now, right? That a lot of this country's problems, right, is down to Brexit. Most of these countries' problems is down to Brexit, right? And it's not our fault, right? The people who voted for Remain, it's not our fault, right? That these racist fools, right, decided to take away our freedom of movement because they're so damn motherfucking racist. And that's why, right, our homes over here are taking less money than whether it's the French, the Germans, the Italians, the Portuguese. Don't matter, right? We're taking less money than the Romanian homes. And they haven't even got the euro yet. Every ambulance service is in critical crisis under extreme pressure. Do you know, I'm really tired of listening to people, right, supporting the Tories, right? Because do you realise, right, that when the Tories took over from Labour, right, there was an 18-week wait, right, for operations. A cartilage, or you might need a new knee, right, or you might need a new hip. You need to have a hip operation, right? 18 weeks. Now it's over 18 months, right? And that's even to say, we've run out of money, right? So I mean, what are you now, 65, 70? I mean, you haven't got that long left, have you, really? So just go and sit in a chair and just watch daytime TV. Don't worry about your knee, right? You're only going to use it a couple of times a day, right? Just go up and down the stairs, right? Your life's done anyway, right? You're 70, life's done. That's these people's attitude, right? Ambulances, right? Every single ambulance service, right, is under extreme pressure. It's not even like they can say to the neighbouring borough, "Can you send a couple of ambulances to help us?" No, they can't, because they're under extreme pressure too. Right? And that's why it sickens me, right, to listen to people still all up the Tories' ass. Still all up the Tories' ass. Right? Do you remember back to Labour? Right? It was a 4-hour maximum wait in casualty. What's it now? This is where your racism gets you. This right here is where your racism gets you. Your racism, right, destroys everything. Because you want to live, right, under conservative government, because you think to yourself, "Oh, well, you know something, right? They say 9 things to us about immigration. They've just let a fucking million people in." Right? Whether it's family visas or whether it's work visas, right? And if it's work visas, right, all those people that come in are coming in to be your boss. They're not coming in to do minimum wage jobs, because only you can do minimum wage jobs, right? Only you can work in the supermarkets. Only you can work in the fast food restaurants. Only you can work in the hotels, right? Only you can do minimum wage jobs. Because you said no, we don't want anybody coming here, right, and doing our good minimum wage jobs. We need those jobs for ourselves. Our kids are not educated. What do you expect them to do? IT? They want to stack shelves and flip burgers. An apprenticeship in McDonald's. That's what our kids want to do. It's really annoying, isn't it? It's really annoying, right? To think that that's where this country's gone. Right? Our ambulance services are all in special measures because they're under so much pressure, right? We have gone from waiting 4 hours maximum in casualty, right, to now there's no time limit. Just like on operations, right? With the Labour Party, they say no, right? That shit needs to be done in 18 weeks, right? This person needs to be salted. Now, it's 18 months, but that's not your limit. That's it's just whatever. It's just whatever it is now. So whether it's 5 years that it takes you to get your new knee, right, or your new hip, that's what it takes. But I'm quite sure that when you voted, right, for the Conservatives, right, that you voted because you're a damn load of racist idiots, right? And look what you've done to this country. You've let in a man who's done over 100 years worth of damage. Right, 13 years of the Tories, right? After all the austerity, when they come in and said, "Oh, you know what? Labour left a flipping note to say there's no money left," right? And say, "Well, what did you think they spent it on?" And the note was a joke, by the way. But what did you think they spent on? Did Gordon Brown take £37 billion and just hand it out to his friends and donors? And then you have to say, well, hold on, where did the 30? If Labour left them no money, where did they get money to start running the country? It was a joke. It was a joke. That's it. It was just a simple joke. Right? It's a joke between chancellors that they always leave that when they change governments, even sometimes chancellor to chancellor, right, in the same parties, they leave the same note. But they can't leave that. They can't have that joke no more because you've got a clown like David Cameron in charge, right? Who is he's one of them people, right? That if you say something to him, he's got to go and tell everybody else, right? Like his discussions with the Queen, right? Prime Minister after Prime Minister have discussions with the Queen, and we've never known what the Queen have had to say. But the minute David Cameron's gone in there, we know what the Queen's got to say because he comes out and he starts talking about her discussions, and he's not supposed to do that. Protocol alone says that you're not supposed to do that. But David Cameron he's a crowd pleaser. Oh, got to give them something to please them. That's why he brought you Brexit as well, because he's got to somehow try and please the crowd. Right. So, that's why this country is in a critical condition. The condition of this country is critical. So every single ambulance service, right, is under extreme pressure. And that's because, right, for the last 13 years, we've had people who have no clue on how to run a country. That's why the country is in such a mess. It's been flipped and turned upside down by the Tories, who come in with their austerity, close down all of our services, right? And look, 13 years later, right, everything, right, is in critical. Everything is. What can we say? It's all fucked up. Everything, right? They've left nothing to chance. They've just destroyed it all. And then we've got, it seems that Kwasi Kwarteng, Grant Shapps, or Sebastian Fox, and Zippy, right, Sadvid Javid, have all pulled out of the race. Right? Now, did we say that, I'm sure we said that Kwasi Kwarteng, right, was going to go, boom, in the first lot. So they've all gone. Right, but we've got a campaign at the moment. Anybody but Rishi. That's how they're setting it up, because they're all going after Rishi Sunak, right? Who, to be honest, right, shouldn't even be applying to be the Prime Minister after you was fined when you was in Downing Street. And believe me, they're going to use all of this as an excuse not to vote for him. Okay, right? They're going to come out with every excuse not to vote for him, apart from the true fact that he's a bloody Asian. Right? But they're going to come out with everything, right, not to vote for him, right? And it looks like, I think, right, that he's going to be up against Penny Mordaunt, right? And he's got no chance against her. He's got no chance against Hunt. He's got no chance against oh God, who's the other one? Pencil neck Tin Lizzie Trust herself. Right, he got no chance against her because Liz Truss has got some real good backers. Do you know what I mean? Because Liz Truss yesterday had Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nadine Dorries come out in support, and she must have thought to herself, "Why don't you just stick a knife in my back? Why don't you just do that? Stick a knife in my back." Right, because I'm telling you, yeah, those are the wrong people. Those people should, they should have stayed at the back for her, for the support, because they're all considered to be the crazy Tories, and he put Liz Truss down as being a right old Brexiter. And think, well, Liz Truss voted for Remain, you do know that, right? And she's just changed her tune, right? So she could further her career. Liz Truss is the biggest turncoat there is. Right, so, but Penny Mordaunt, her credibility has been destroyed over her getting it so wrong over the whole Turkey business, right? Because remember, she was the one who said, "Oh well, Britain will not be able to stop Turkey from joining the EU." And I say, "Well, yeah, we could just veto it if we wanted to." But obviously at that time the Brexiters all sucked up and said, "Yeah, look at that, yeah, she's speaking the truth, right? It's going to be uncontrolled immigration from Turkey." That was pretty racist. That was pretty racist when she said that at the time. And Brexit doesn't matter. Try telling that to the people who are voting for the next Prime Minister, says the Telegraph. And I mean, they would say that because they are big Brexit fans of the Telegraph. All they want to talk about is Brexit, but they don't want to talk about it in its negative way. They want to tell us the benefits, even though there are no benefits to Brexit, because no one has come up with one yet. UK ministers are pushing through plans to break the Brexit deal. Right, still, right, even with this fool gone, they're still pushing through with this foolishness, right? Even though they know, right, that it's pissing off the EU, right, but they're still going ahead. And Sir John Major says Boris Johnson's Brexit deal is as welcome as a fart in a lift. Say, crude? Seriously, Sir John. Do you know what I mean? Next thing, yeah, you'll be flipping up there swearing and having affairs. Oh, God, there we go. Now, that image, it's that image again. And that's not right at all. Do you know what I mean? Thinking of John Major, right, having his affair with what's her face, right? With, do you know what I mean? With his Argyle socks with braces, right? Wide fronts and the vest. Anyway, guys, look, I've been coming on nearly 40 minutes. So I'm going to bow out of here. This, my friends, is by any means necessary. I'm DMC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.